Before anybody grabbed the ball this spring, the Royals' biggest question mark was starting pitching. And because of injuries and poor performance, the Royals used 8 starting pitchers in the first third of the season. Now enter Felipe Paulino. He will make his first start for the Royals today on Fox Sports Kansas City. Last night, Jeff Francis and Blake Wood kept the Angels in the ballpark. That's the first time this year the Royals have done that. They took Game 2 7-3, and now the final game of the series today. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark. I'm Ryan Lefevre with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. And the Royals got a strong effort from Jeff Francis last night. Now today, they're hoping Felipe Paulino looks like he did on Friday night.
And if he does that, Ryan, the Royals will be very happy, but it's going to be command. Command is always an issue with new pitchers coming in. So if he can repeat what he did against the Rangers, the Royals will take that today.
Which, by the way, was 4 1/3 innings out of the bullpen, giving up only 1 hit and no runs. Little background on Paulino: came up through the Astros organization originally as a shortstop in 2001, but he was on the mound in 2003 and made his big league debut with Houston in 2007. One of the big things that separated the Royals from the Angels last night was clutch hitting.
The unique clutch hitting, and that's one of the areas of any ball club. If you're going to get back in ball games or win ball games, your best hitters have to hit with men on base, and the Royals did an outstanding job with that last night.
And yes, the Angels committed a critical error, but the Royals jumped on that opportunity. It was the 3rd inning. The Royals came up with 5 RBIs from Gordon, Cabrera, Hosmer, Butler, and for Eric Hosmer in this series with the Angels, he has 3 different 2 RBI hits. Chris Getz had 3 infield hits, and his bat is starting to warm up. Over his last 8 games, he has added 48 points to his batting average. We'll talk more about the Royals and the Angels when we come back. Baseball is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. When you play, students win. Final game, deciding game between the Royals and the Angels. Take a look at the Angels lineup today. And Alberto Callaspo, former Royal, is batting cleanup for the second straight game.
Ryan, the Angels are without three of their top guys, Howie Kendrick, Kendrick Morales, and Vernon Wells. And so they're down to Alberto Callaspo, who is 10 for 20 against the Royals, who will be carrying that number 4 spot today.
And playing at third base, Brandon Wood has not worked out for the Angels. He is now with the Pittsburgh Pirates, so Callaspo getting regular work. Here's the defense that the Angels will face today. And it was a good night in the outfield for the Royals last night. Alex Gordon made a nice play in left field. Jeff Francoeur in right. And what would a Royals game be without a great play turned in by Alcides Escobar? And in the 7th inning last night, Myceris Turris lost a base hit with this flashy play up the middle. Royals and the Angels. The first pitch is next. Royals baseball comes to you from Kauffman Stadium in high definition, brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Get no fee HD with digital TV from Time Warner Cable. Royals are taking the field, and Joe Goldberg is out in right field.
Well, Ryan, Felipe Paulino acquired last Thursday night. He arrived in Texas with the team and to meet the team at the end of batting practice. He was in the dugout by the top of the first, out to meet his new bullpen mates by the bottom of the first, and in the game by the bottom of the third. Matt Trainer walked out to the mound as he was called into the game and said, "What do you got, and do you mind showing me each one of those pitches while you warm up?" That was their acclamation to each other. Obviously, it worked out very well, going 4 1/3 scoreless innings. They've had a little bit more time to get to know each other this week. Trainer tell me just he'll get out there, mix it up a little bit. And, of course, Matt's got some experience with this, having come over in a trade from the Rangers the last Monday of spring training, switching complexes, getting out on the field, and catching Kyle Davies on the fly. Today, they'll get to know each other a little bit better and hope for some of that magic again, guys.
All right, thank you, Joel. And Paulino was a starter in the Astros organization, but the Rockies, when they acquired him during the offseason, they wanted him to pitch out of the bullpen, and he was just never quite comfortable with that. Wanted him to be a short reliever. So you're going from hoping for 6, 7, 8 innings to maybe facing 2, 3, 4 batters. And when he was with Colorado, his longest outing was an inning and 2/3. And then he went 4 1/3 for the Royals on Friday.
But Ryan, the biggest thing has been location of pitches when he's either ahead or behind in the count. And I think that if he could just figure out where to go once he get ahead or behind, then it'll help him a lot. But the Royals today will take a repeat of what they got down in Texas, where he retired 11 straight batters.
56 pitches thrown by Paulino. So the Royals think he'll be somewhere around 70, 75 pitches today, hoping for 5 innings. Eric Ibar only 1 hit in the first 2 games, but he has scored twice. Very good bunter, trying to draw the corners in, and he takes strike 1. If the Royals weren't interested in Felipe Paulino, the Chiefs might have been. He is 6'2", 270 pounds. No balls, 2 strikes. 27 years old, from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Signed with the Astros originally as a free agent, or as a shortstop, a free agent, undrafted in 2001, but pitching by 2003. One and two.
Well, he's a guy with that size. There won't be many guys charging the mound on him. He get embarrassed twice. One get hit, and one when you run out there.
He's going to get bigger the closer you get to the mound. 2 and 2. He is the 9th starting pitcher the Royals use this year as we begin the second third of the season and a brand new month. Three and two. Got that one up there at 97 miles an hour.
Well, he gets the ball. He's always ready to throw. I like him already from that standpoint. He doesn't mess around on the hill. He gets the ball, get back on the rubber, and waits on the next sign.
Still 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ibar trying to have a long at bat against Paulino as the Angels face him for the first time. And there's only one batter in the lineup today that has ever seen Felipe Paulino, and that was Alberto Callaspo. Still 3 and 2. Angels took game 1 10-8 on Monday, and they did most of their scoring late in the game. And the Royals coming back last night, a 5-run third inning. A couple of those runs were unearned because of the Joel Pinheiro error, and took game 2 7-3. Royals are 4 and 2 against the Angels so far this year. Line to center. Melky thought about it, but hits the brakes and plays it on a bounce. So Ibar has been on base, opening the game in all 3 games. Kind of a cloudy, hazy day in Kansas City. 83 comfortable degrees. Game started at 3:11. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCA.
And I think that's one area you have to watch from Paulino. Is 0 and 2 to 3 and 2. A lot of fouled off pitches. So, you know, he's got a great arm. And does he have that pitch that can put a hitter away early in the count? And I think that's a lot of pitchers' problems. You know, what do they go to when they want to close a hitter out? And I think he just probably threw a lot of pitches in that at bat to Ibar that you probably don't want to throw, especially when you start 0 and 2.
Ended up being an 8-pitch at bat. Ibar has 13 stolen bases. And Paulino will throw over there. Angels have scored in the first inning in both games. Ibar hit by a pitch on Monday, came around to score. And the Angels scored 2 in the first inning last night against Jeff Francis. He's running. Pitch is up. Good pitch to throw on. Trainer down on a bounce. And Ibar has his 14th stolen base.
When you get that kind of jump that he gets right here, this is definitely off Paulino, the pitcher here. Ibar had 2 or 3 steps already into his run before he even released the ball to the plate.
So a runner at second, 1 ball, 1 strike on Abreu, who had a 4-hit game on Monday and then was out of the lineup last night with Jeff Francis on the mound. Two balls, 1 strike. A couple of doubles mixed in there for Abreu. Also drove in 2. Five times in his career he has had at least 20 home runs, at least 40 doubles, and at least 20 stolen bases, and that is a major league record. 2-2.
Well, he's going to have to get some Hall of Fame recognition. I mean, he hasn't been a high-profile player that you read about all the time in the paper, but his numbers are amazing. I mean, anyone on that community can't look at those numbers and say, hey, man, this guy, he might have flew under the radar, but he's got Hall of Fame numbers.
Coming up on 1,300 RBIs. He has been to the postseason 4 times in his career. He has never played in the World Series. In 2009, when he was with the Angels, they advanced to the ALCS and lost to the Yankees. That's the farthest he has gone into the postseason. Got him looking. Abreu stands in the box, stunned, and has a few words for home plate umpire and crew chief Gary Cederstrom.
Well, he's supposed to be down and in underneath his swing, and he backed up on the outer half of the plate.
So out number 1, and now Torrey Hunter. Royals had a bad time with Torrey on Monday. He hit 2 home runs, drove in 4, but only able to produce a walk last night. Eight home runs this year, and 4 of those have come against the Royals. He has Eric Ibar at second base with 1 out. On the ground to Escobar. He'll take a look at third, but Ibar got a good jump. Hunter is out, and there's a runner at third base with 2 away.
That's a nice decision by Escobar here on this ground ball from Torrey Hunter. Now, that's a ball that you normally wouldn't go to third base on. And he does have a shot, but he opts to take the conservative route and make sure he gets 1 out.
And now Alberto Callaspo batting 4th for a 2nd straight game. Mentioned earlier that Alberto has faced Paulino, and that was with the Royals last year when the Royals faced the Houston Astros in interleague play. The Royals, by the way, beat Felipe Paulino. They scored 8 earned runs against him in 4 2/3 innings, and Callaspo in that game was 1 for 3. Four out of 8 in this series, 10 out of 20 against the Royals this year. And his batting average is 100 points better with 2 outs and runners in scoring position.
Well, he just does a good job of just taking what the pitcher gives him. He doesn't try to do too much, and wherever the pitch is, that's where he hits the ball.
On the ground to Hosmer, so no harm done. The Angels are scoreless in the first inning. Single and a stolen base. No score to the bottom of the first inning, and here come the Royals. And they've had a good series so far against the Angels, 1-1, but they have been good at the plate with 8 runs, 11 hits on Monday, and then last night the Royals with 7 runs and 11 hits. For the first time, they will face right-hander Tyler Chatwood.
Well, good arm, Ryan. A good change-up that he'll throw to both right and left-handed hitters. Sometimes his delivery can be a little violent, but he will work both sides of the plate, and then walks could be a problem.
Alex came back from the last road trip 0 for his last 9, but now against the Angels 5 out of 8 with a home run, 4 runs scored, 2 RBIs. So batting at .288, and a running fastball is outside, ball 1. Everybody getting their first looks at Chatwood. Trumbo veers into foul territory and gets it to Chatwood, 1 away. Chatwood listed at 6 foot, maybe 185 pounds. He is 21 years old, and he has this defense behind him this afternoon. Bobby Abreu back in the lineup. He's in left with Borges and Hunter. Alberto Callaspo, Eric Ibar, Alexi Amarista is at second base. Mark Trumbo at first, and Hank Conger is behind the plate. Melky 2 hits and a walk in the first 2 games, 2 runs scored. One and one. This is a dream come true for Chatwood. He is from Southern California. He grew up in Redlands, which is about 60 miles northeast of Anaheim, and he grew up an Angels fan. Born in Fontana, which is very close to Redlands. So this was his team when he was growing up. He was on his way to UCLA when the Angels took him in the 2nd round in 2008. He won 13 games last year at 3 levels in the minor leagues and was the Angels minor league pitcher of the year. Callaspo knocks it down with his glove and has time to throw out Melky Cabrera.
What an outstanding reaction time by Callaspo. Melky tries to bunt, brings him in, and he takes his fastball and drives it, and he's able to just get his glove up enough to knock this ball down, but he kept his feet moving, stayed with the play, and was able to finish it off.
Last year was the first time that the Royals had Alberto Callaspo at third base every day, and had a good year defensively for the Royals. Eddie Rodriguez, who's coaching at third base, probably chatting with Callaspo in between pitches, and they worked very hard to get Callaspo to make a comfortable transition from second base to third base. And I remember Eddie saying last year that one of the reasons he felt that Alberto was so good at third base is because it was somewhat of a new position, that it really forced him to concentrate more. And at times, any player can get a little too comfortable when they're playing a position that they've been playing their whole life. And he knew that he had to be on red alert all the time playing at third base, and as a result, he had one of his best defensive seasons with the Royals.
He really did, and he also did. He played third base a lot in winter ball, and that made that transition a little bit easier also. But sometimes when a player doesn't have as much ground to cover, and it's all about first step quickness and hand-eye coordination, it really plays to him, and that's turned out to be the best position for Callaspo on the infield.
Through the left side. 5 hits in the series for Eric Hosmer to go with his 6 RBIs. Runner at first with 2 outs.
Well, he's really getting better every day, Ryan. You see this ball going down the way, and he doesn't even try to pull these pitches now. The double in the alley last night to left center field, and he just basically just staying behind the ball, letting the ball travel, and just getting through the ball with 2 hands on the bat. And you hear a lot of hitting coaches that just finish high after your swing, and he's got a perfect swing right now.
We just had a nice shot over at first base with Hosmer talking to Mark Trumbo. A couple of young guys just getting their big league careers started. We know all about Hosmer. Trumbo hit 36 home runs in the minor leagues for the Angels, so they have big plans for him. No balls, 2 strikes on Jeff Francoeur. Only 1 hit in the first 2 games, but he has 3 RBIs, giving him 32 for the year. Mike Aviles gets an RBI today. The Royals will have 4 hitters with at least 30 RBIs. 1-2.
Yeah, I talked to Jeff before the game tonight, and I was asking him about where does the leadership come when the team's not playing well. And he said what he tries to do after every game, if a guy has a tough game, he goes to that guy's locker and tell him to keep his head up, and there's another game tomorrow. And what he's trying to do is just get him to focus on the game today and not worry about what happened yesterday. And he said right now a lot of those guys down there believe that yesterday is yesterday, today's the day, let's play good today and just try to win this game and just keep focused on this game and keep our heads up. And he said that's what he tries to do every day, is just identify the guys that need to be pumped up and just go and just give them whatever they need, whatever love they need to get them ready for the next day. That's what he gives them.
Hank Aaron once said yesterday's news, the only thing that's good for is wrapping fish. Angels know that Hosmer will run. He has a stolen base in the series, in addition to a home run, a double, 3 runs scored, 6 RBIs, a strong candidate for the American League Rookie of the Month.
Well, you can see where Hosmer made some adjustments, Ryan. Early when he first came here, everything was pulled for the most part. And then slowly everything went back to the middle. And now he's back on the left field side with his hard hit ground balls and line drives. The ball last night in the double in the alley was what we saw in spring training. And so now he's becoming more of a difficult hitter to defense.
He's running as Francoeur hits it high in the air to left field. But Abreu is there, and that is the inning. Brought to you by AT, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. By Panera Bread Catering. Order online at PaneraKansas.com. Kansas City area Chevy dealers. No score to the second inning. Felipe Paulino making his first start as a Royal. Got around a leadoff single and a stolen base from Eric Ibar. Now he gets Russell Branyan, Mark Trumbo, and Hank Conger. Through the legs of Alfredo Griffin, former American League Rookie of the Year and a slick fielding shortstop. And pretty good feet.
Had a little bounce.
One ball, one strike. Royals are stacking the right side against Branyan, a pull hitter with power. And pitching him inside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Alfredo Griffin has become skilled at getting out of the way of the ball. You remember late in his career, he was hit in the face by a pitch, and he one of the first guys to wear one of those plastic masks. He has to get out of the way again.
I think when Brandon had to play, he ought to get deeper. Move back there where the umpire is at first base. Him and Lansky get to be good friends down there.
Of course, teammates can be cruel. Here's a guy who has a fractured cheekbone. He's trying to stay in the game, wearing a mask, trying to play with a mask on his face. But 2 of the greatest nicknames of all time came out of that. Alfredo Gretzky, because of the hockey mask. He is from the Dominican Republic, and the other one was Phantom of the Dominican. Second strikeout for Paulino, 1 down in the 2nd inning.
They want to get this ball down underneath this swing. It's an outstanding pitch on the corner, but I think they were looking for that slider to go down even more.
We remind you to look for the Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment later in today's game. Felipe Paulino not only trying to win for the Royals today, but trying to win for himself for the first time in a long time. Trumbo launches it to deep right, and Francoeur just going onto the track to make the catch. The wind is blowing in from right, so it might be a little bit of a factor. There was no wind at all last night, so that may have helped Paulino. 2 down in the 2nd inning. Paulino has not won in almost exactly a year. Have to go back to June 4th of 2010 when he beat the Cubs. That was 28 appearances ago. Now, a lot of those appearances were out of the bullpen this year with the Rockies, but it has been a long time since he has been a winning pitcher. Hank Conger started the game on Monday, was 1 for 5 with a double. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're just talking about Hank Aaron and that quote about yesterday's news. Hank Conger got his nickname from his grandfather, who lives in Atlanta and was a big fan of Hank Aaron. That's how Conger got the nickname Hank. He is of Korean descent. His birth name is Hyun, Hyun, but ever since he's been a baseball player, since a very young age, he has been known as Hank.
Hank sounds strong.
Gets from shallow right center field, and just in time to get Conger. 3 up, 3 down for the Angels against Paulino in the 2nd. A Sprint You Call It question. Stolen bases. Who do you think will finish with the most this year? Scott Pasednik led the Royals last year with 30. Chris Getz, Mike Aviles have 8. Melky Cabrera 5. Alex Gordon has 4. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals, a space, and A, B, C, or D. You'll get a bounce back text message if you send yours in, and you'll get information on how you can win for a game, a suite here at Kauffman Stadium for you and 11 guests.
Yeah, you take a look at that list of guys. Alex Gordon's going to play a lot. He's going to be in that #1 spot, get a lot of at bats. But if Chris Getz continue to play, if they continue to play him like they have, then I would go with Getzy, and I think he has the best idea of how to steal a base, and he would be my guess.
Great success rate in his career as well. No balls, 2 strikes on Billy Butler. He's hitting 5 straight, batting at .292 with a hit in each of the first 2 games against the Angels. He'll be followed by Mike Aviles and then Chris Getz. Right center field. That is deep. Back goes Torrey Hunter, and again, perhaps the wind grabbed it. That ball was hit harder than Mark Trumbo last half inning. Billy Butler has seen a lot of that in this ballpark. We were just in Texas over the weekend, and in that ballpark, that ball right now is in the glove of a Rangers reliever.
Yeah, that park, and also Camden Yard too. We kept waiting for him to hit one like that, but he picked the wrong ballpark today with the wind blowing the way it is. Kind of knocked that down a little bit, but he really hit that ball well.
Royals really can't expect to beat Chatwood with the home run today. He has only given up 5 all year, and now 1 in his last 35 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike on Aviles. 1 home run in his previous 7 starts. Stroke to left field. Abreu very deep, and Aviles is aboard with 1 out. Minnesota will be here tomorrow night for a 4-game series, and game 2 on Friday is the next Buck Night and Fireworks Friday. You can purchase hot dogs, small Pepsi products, and peanuts for just $1 each. And then after the game, a great fireworks show presented by Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Minnesota is in for 4, then Toronto is in for 4. The Royals are in the middle of their longest homestand of the year as far as games go. 11 games and 11 days. In September, the Royals will have another 11-day homestand, not as many games. Royals with the 3rd most wins at home this year. They have 18. Hit hard to center. Borges was shallow, so he's on it in a hurry. So 2 down, and Aviles back to first base. So once again, tonight's You Call It question presented by Sprint. Who will finish with more stolen bases for the Royals this year? Chris Getz, Mike Aviles, Melky Cabrera, Alex Gordon. Ball 1 to Matt Trainer. Trainer started game 1 and was 1 for 3 with a walk. Aviles 8 stolen bases. He has only been caught stealing once, but he has been picked off 4 times. Trumbo gets a glove on it. Coming over from second base is Amarista. So that is 3-4-1 for the final out. Today is a carsoup.com email the booth day. Go to carsoup.com/Royals. Once you're there, CarSoup will ask you for your zip code. Fill that in. You'll be sent to a different page, which is where you can submit your question. Alexi Amarista, Peter Borges, and Eric Ibar. Here in the top of the third inning. Ball one inside from Felipe Paulino. Gave up a single to Eric Ibar to begin the game, and now he's retired 6 in a row with a couple of strikeouts. 2 balls, no strikes.
You ever notice the body type of most of the Angel middle infielders are pretty similar?
It's the same guy. When he came up with that ground ball for the final out of the bottom of the second inning, my first instinct was that was Eric Ibar running over there. 2-2.
Well, he does have gap power, and he will bunt if he has an opportunity to bunt. Young guy, 22 years old.
From the Angels system, signed as a 17-year-old back in 2007. Angels without their regular second baseman Howie Kendrick on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. His Turris was at second base the first 2 games, and now Amarista. Royals going to have to deal with some speed in this inning with Amarista, Borges, and Ibar. Just foul outside of first base.
Well, he does have above average speed, and if he gets on, he can steal a base. But from a hitting standpoint, the pitch that gives him the most trouble is that pitch he just fouled off right there, that slider down and in under his swing.
Over Paulino, who lost his glove, is able to get a glove on it, but no play with Amarista's speed. Infield single to begin the top of the third inning.
He just beat this right back up the middle. I don't know. Sometimes when the glove come off and touch the ball, sometimes they think you did it on purpose. That could result in it's an interesting play there.
3 bases. Throw your glove at the ball. So speed at first, great speed at the plate with Peter Borges. Thinking about laying down a bunt. Instead, he takes a strike. So Borges, with his speed, Amarista's speed, is going to have to hit it right at somebody if the Royals are going to turn a double play. Borges homered in the game on Monday. The Angels hit 4 home runs in game 1 of the series, and all 4 coming in the last 3 innings. Royals kept the Angels in the ballpark for the first time this year last night. And as a result, they won the game. Royals pitching out. Amarista was not going. 1 ball, 1 strike. Angels are 5th in the American League in stolen bases, and over the last 5 years or so, they are normally around the top of the league. If not the Angels, then it's the Tampa Bay Rays. And Joe Madden, who is the manager of the Rays for years, was Mike Scioscia's bench coach. So they think the same way. They like speed. They like stolen bases. They like hitters or runners that go first to third on a base hit. Batter runners that turn singles into doubles and doubles into triples.
Just love aggressive base running. This is a 2-1 count with Borges at the plate. This is a good hit and run count for Mike Scioscia.
Look at that hole on the right side. You can't even see Chris Getz.
Well, Paulino doesn't seem to be especially quick to the plate. And I think that's what they want to try to exploit it in a straight steal. But this gives an opportunity to try to create a first and third situation.
So there's all that space on the right side if Borges can get a ground ball over there. Amarista runs. Instead, he pulls it, and he pulls it off of Avila's glove.
Yeah, Mike was pulled in. He was pulled in for the bunt, and that's what you want to do is get that corner guy in and try to hit a line drive by him. And Mike got caught on its backhand side and wasn't able to make this play. An official score gives him an error on that play.
6th error of the year for Avilas, and his 5th playing at third base. So Bob McClure still getting to know Felipe Paulino. A situation here where Paulino should have gotten at least one out, maybe two. The Royals would have had to move that ball quickly with Amarista running, but either way, just want to see the look in a guy's eyes and how he responds when a play that should have been made behind him is not made.
Well, that's true too, and he's been throwing a lot of pitches to most of the hitters, and you want to keep that pitch count down as much as you can. He's up over 41 now. You kind of like to see it somewhere around 35 at this point, but he's got to get those plays made behind him and to get him through the game, especially on a limited pitch count.
Ibar, a very good bunter, throw back to second base, and Amarista sliding through Escobar's legs.
Well, good effort right there by Matt Trainer. Paulino makes this play, but then he's got to get out of the way and let this throw go through. But more toward the bag, he's got a pretty good shot at him.
Ibar has 6 sacrifice bunts, and he's giving it away very early and gets it down. It'll be Paulino, and he throws late. So Ibar was trying to drop down a sacrifice bunt. Instead, he ends up with a single, and the Angels have the bases loaded with nobody out.
Well, it comes from knowing who the hitter is, who the bunter is in this case, and know the speed of the runner. Paulino takes too much time here on this bunt. He doesn't have time to take that crow hop, and that crow hop was what cost him the base hit right there. If he just gets it and let it go, he makes the play at first base.
And that brings up Bobby Abreu. Paulino struck him out in the first inning. Abreu didn't like the call. And this time he hammers it into the right field corner, but hooking and foul. Abreu took a backdoor slider in the first, and then he and Gary Cederstrom talked it over, we'll say, before he headed back for the dugout. 4 hits for Abreu in the game on Monday and 2 RBIs. Oh, and 2. Nine grand slams in his career, and a batting average of .350. He has only had 3 at-bats this year with the bases loaded, and he has driven in 3.
Yeah, Paulino's got that nice hard slider. I would go right back to that pitch again out of the strike zone where the previous pitch was.
Instead of fastball up and away, 1 and 2. Two infield singles and an error.
Well, this is another good opportunity to use that pitch too, Rhino, but he's got to make sure that he doesn't really bounce it. He wants to get it down low and try to get it underneath the swing inside.
2 and 2. And most of the time you're going to have to throw Bobby Abreu strikes because he is normally among the league leaders in walks, and he is again this year with 37, third most. So when he argued with Gary Cederstrom, that's just his experience and feeling like he has a good idea of what the strike zone is.
Try to set him up for this at bat in case he gets a similar pitch.
Got him. Third strikeout for Paulino, and that's his biggest of the day.
I guarantee you Bobby Bray was sitting inside looking for that slider down and in, and this is a backup breaking ball, like backup slider like it was in the previous at bat. One's a called third strike, and then he swung at that one, but drew no iron on that swing.
So bases loaded, one out. Torrey Hunter grounded out to short in the first inning. Royals will take that again. Nobody has grounded into more double plays in the American League than Torrey Hunter. So that's an appealing statistic for the Royals at the moment. The major league leader is Albert Pujols. He has rolled into 16. Ground ball. Escobar gets Hosmer. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the Angels hang a 0 on the scoreboard. In 1998, David Mattson and his family hosted their first foster child. And 12 years later, the Mattson family has fostered more than 30 children and adopted one. David's commitment to serving children resulted in his decision to leave his legal career to become the executive director of the Children's Place in Kansas City. David is sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at this afternoon's game. No score. Tyler Chatwood, I'm sure, was thinking about taking the mound in the bottom of the third with a lead after the Angels loaded the bases with nobody out. But Felipe Paulino got a strikeout and a double play and got out of it. A strike to Alcides Escobar. This was Chatwood warming up before this inning. It could happen to anybody, but in the big leagues, there's a good chance you're going to have a camera on you. Almost threw a strike, by the way.
Wow. It's amazing he continues to make that throw.
Lifted to right. And Torrey Hunter, who hit into the inning-ending double play, brings it down. Escobar is 0 for 1. So first time through for the Royals against Chatwood, 2 singles. And now the top of the order, and Alex Gordon. Once again, it's a carsoup.com. Email the booth day, and let's bring in Joe Goldberg.
Well, getting a lot of good questions in today. I've got one for each of you guys, by the way. Let's start with Frank. This one coming from Joe Kelly in Hutchinson, Kansas. It's for either of you, actually. How do batters tailor their strategy to pitchers?
Well, most times you want to know what their fastball is, Joel, and one time, and then when you get to 2 strikes, you want to know what that out pitch is. And if it's a guy that throws a lot of pitches away, then you should try to hit a lot of pitches away in batting practice. And if he throws a lot of breaking balls, you try to work the ball to right field a lot more in batting practice. That's a good way to try to keep you on the ball. But when I was playing, I just wanted to know basically when he got to 2 strikes, what the out pitch was that the pitcher had.
We do want to ask fans.
My solution, by the way, you want me to give you my solution to that? You just get into broadcasting.
Yes, which will lead me to my next question in just a moment as Alex Gordon takes the walk. Although I do want to ask fans as they send in their car soup questions. We're just curious. Kevin Shank, our producer, is curious if you like the Fox Tracks up all game, seeing where all those pitches are throughout the game. We've been doing that recently, so wanted to pass that on from Kevin. Ryan, this from Keith Patterson of Lee Summit, Missouri, because we do know that you have a habit of doing this from time to time. Here's the question. Ryan, do you think you subconsciously predict the negative things that happen in Royals games?
Absolutely not. It has just been a crazy coincidence over the last 2 years. And for whatever reason, it happens more against the Royals than it does for the Royals. And what Keith is getting at is that for whatever reason, every time I mention so-and-so is 0 for his last 11, or he's never gotten a hit off this guy, or he hasn't hit a home run in 2 weeks, he hasn't had an RBI in 10 games, what usually happens on the next pitch?
Something bad for the Royals. But you've got some good ones on for the Royals too, right? That most famous one was Mitch Meyer in Seattle. I remember that one.
67% in our Sprint You Call It question think that Chris Getz will lead the Royals in stolen bases. 18% for Alex, who has 4, and standing at first with 2 outs, and Eric Hosmer at the plate. And unless he gets the greatest jump in the history of Royals baseball, I wouldn't expect him to be running with Hosmer at the plate and 2 down. And along those lines, Joel, he'll probably run now.
Well, you may want to leave that hole open. If he runs, he'll probably run with 2 strikes at that point. I think right now he just wants to leave that hole open and give him a chance to hit a ground ball through there.
Hosmer singled to left, so he went to the opposite field in the first inning. Got him to chase a pitch up and out of the strike zone, and it's 0-2. Joel, do you have a 2-out, 2-strike question?
You're not subconsciously thinking he's going to get thrown out at second, are you?
No,
okay,
no.
Just checking. This one might have to carry over to the next inning. We'll let Frank think about it. But from Colin Banks in Shawnee, Frank, what was the craziest thing that happened to you in your career? Now, I know that there's a lot of stuff you can't talk about because you guys had some fun in the clubhouse, but let you think about that one a little bit. Or maybe you have one off the top of your head.
Probably the craziest thing, there's a guy, Bobby Heiss, with the Red Sox, was still in second base, and I was straddled the bag and went down to make the tag. He did a pop-up slide, and the helmet hit me underneath the chin. And I took a couple steps, and next thing I know, people were shaking me. So that got knocked out on a tag play.
We did get one in from Jeff Montgomery, not Monty. I mean, he might be Monty, but a gentleman by the name of Jeff Montgomery who lives in Southern California, Orange County. He's a diehard Royals fan because of Jeff Montgomery, and he said he's going to come out and see us and have signs and all that kind of stuff when we're out with the Angels. So maybe we'll catch up with the other Jeff Montgomery when we're in California.
Good. What about the year you had the Jerry curl? That's kind of crazy in your career, isn't it?
Never had a Jerry curl in my life.
You didn't?
Nope.
Looks like a Jerry curl to me.
That's just because I know the difference. I had what they call a dry curl. Jerry curl was drippy and wet, but I had a dry curl.
Okay.
You're not going to argue with him, are you, Ryan?
No.
I'll just get a beautician to come in.
It looked good, though.
It was tight.
Yeah.
It was tight.
It was tight. Boy. Dust off that term. I haven't heard that in a while.
Well, we're talking about that era.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Or bad. Remember when bad was good?
Yeah.
Man, that was a bad looking haircut.
Now that's still here though. A lot of people still use that.
Now look at that.
Well, that's after I had my hat on for a while.
Okay.
That's early morning after you got to run a mile, then you got to come in and stretch. But when I left the ballpark,
that's the one I'm talking about right there.
That's Mr. Perfect right there.
Jeez.
You know,
if you may say so yourself.
I'm sitting next to Monty, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say Monty never had that haircut.
No.
He said he had a mullet, though.
I remember it.
We got the Mohawk men now out in the bullpen, and Monty pointing out that he and the gentleman sitting right next to him on the other side of the wall here had mullets at the same time, the Gooby and Monty mullets.
Brett Saberhagen ever have the mullet?
I had no clue what a mullet was back in those days.
Well, Chatwood has, if you look at Fox Tracks, he's been successful in getting Hosmer to swing at those pitches, not just up in the strike zone, but up and well out of the strike zone.
Well, it's up around his eyes, and he feel like he can get extended on it. But at 95 miles an hour, he's got a little hop to it, and he's always going to be underneath that. He can get out there, but he needs to bring it down a little bit into the strike zone. I think Eric can put that in play, but that's too high right there.
Well, as Frank predicted, Alex runs with 2 strikes, and he swipes his 5th. Ibar trying to be creative in receiving that throw and somehow applying the tag, but Alex arrived before the glove.
Well, he gets a good jump here, keeps his head down all the way through. I'm not a real proponent of this. I want to know where that ball is. But the ball was behind Ibar, and he tried to just follow the ball on around and try to make the tag that way rather than trying to fight to come back the other way. But then you have disagreements about whether you should look or whether you shouldn't look and whether you're going to be faster or slower. But if I'm running and you got a guy like Gary Hosmer at the plate, I want to know where the ball is. So it won't hurt you to take a quick look in and see what he does with that ball. Otherwise, you running, don't know where the ball is, you get hit with a line drive. You just never know. And you go down to the outfield, second base, and there is a base hit. Now the infield has a chance to DQ and make you think that
Ball is hit on the ground.
Ball's hit on the ground, and the ball could actually be in the alley somewhere.
At a play, and we'll do it again. Royals got a stolen base last night, and it was their first in 6 games. And it was Eric Hosmer in the 5th inning. Royals still lead the league in stolen bases with 53. Drilled to right field. Torrey Hunter is there. So he hit it right on the nose. And we have no score at the end of 3. the Time Warner Cable wideband internet pitch speeds. Good arms out there today. In the upper 90s, Paulino at 98. He has 3 strikeouts. Chatwood at 97 is without a strikeout. The Angels have Alberto Callaspo, Russell Branyan, and Mark Trumbo coming up against Paulino in the 4th. The slider is inside. Callaspo rolled out to first in the 1st inning. Alberto, originally out of the Angels organization, signed 10 years ago out of Venezuela, traded to the Diamondbacks, traded to the Royals, and last year traded back to the Angels. Ooh. That hit Matt Trainer about 3 different times.
Just lucky didn't get underneath that mask. You see that open air between the mask and the chest protector, so he was just fortunate that that hit him in the mask and didn't go down below that. He's running. If you guys don't wear that little tongue they used to hang down there to kind of help protect that area.
3-1. I think it was Steve Yeager. Remember him? Catching for the Dodgers. Got a sharp piece of a bat near the throat, and he hung what looked like a shoehorn. Bigger than a shoehorn, but that's how it was shaped, hanging down from the bottom of his mask to protect his throat. And it wasn't that long ago, and catchers didn't even wear a helmet underneath their mask. They just had their cap.
Just flip it up in the back, and I would assume they had to sit further back from the hitter.
4 strikeouts for Paulino. 1 away in the 4th inning. Here's today's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. All of last year, the Royals used 10 starting pitchers, and now 1/3 of the way through this season, they have used 9, most in the American League, and tied with the Rockies for the most in the big leagues. Look out. Branyan hitting it off the netting of the Angels dugout right in front of manager Mike Scioscia. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning. So in this series, Branyan is 1 for 7 with 4 strikeouts. Paulino lost his necklace, tucking it underneath his undershirt.
When you look at the swing that Branyan took right there for a big power hitter, it's almost like he's late, just getting that front foot down and just waiting too late to load up, and just got that one swing that's middle in. His bat doesn't stay in the zone that long, but you're just getting that foot down early and recognizing what you're swinging at. And the way he's swinging right now, I would just stay with fastball because he hadn't shown you he can catch up with it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Cracked his bat. So Melky has to come in to make the play. 2 down in the 4th inning. On Saturday, it's the Royals and the Twins at 6:10. And the first 20,000 fans will receive this Willie Wilson bobblehead presented by Farmland. 6:10 on Saturday. Royals in Minnesota for 4 games, and then beginning on Monday, the Royals and the Toronto Blue Jays for 4 games. A little bit low, and ball 1 to Mark Trumbo. That is 61 pitches for Paulino, and remember, somewhere around 70 to 75 pitches is as far as they wanted to go today. Really hoping for 5 innings. So he would like to get Trumbo here, get him back to the dugout with fewer than 65 pitches, and there'd be a pretty good likelihood that he could go back out for the 5th. Aviles makes a difficult play on a hard hit 1 hopper, and it's just a 13th pitch 4 inning for Paulino. Tyler Chatwood has given up 2 hits, no runs. Felipe Paulino, 3 hits, no runs. Chatwood's first appearance against the Royals. Royals have had base runners in each of the first 3 innings, but only 1 runner in those 3 innings. Jeff Francoeur flied out to left field his first time up. Billy Butler after him, and then Mike Aviles. Only 1 walk so far for Chatwood, and he has had problems with walks. 32 in his first 56 innings. Talking to Mark Gubiza before the game today, however, he was saying, yeah, he's had problems with walks, but he's not one of those guys that's all over the place. Most of the time, he's just missing. And when you're 21 years old in your rookie year and you're just missing, chances are you aren't going to get the call. Gubi is not happy with that play right there. Of course, he's seeing it from a pitcher's viewpoint. Let's see. No, it came up and looked like it came up and got him on his back leg.
Yeah, Gooby's a pitcher, so them pitchers want all those.
Royals Hall of Famer. Gooby was inducted in 2006. 132 wins for the Royals. Right side, Amarista picks it off and throws out Francoeur, 1 away. Sunday, NASCAR on Fox moves to Kansas, where Greg Biffle will try to win his 2nd straight race at Kansas Speedway and take home his first checkered flag of the year. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing from Kansas begins Sunday with the pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut at 11:30 a.m. in high definition on Fox. And with more on NASCAR, here's Frank White.
I don't have a lot. I just want to root for the local guys. Okay. You know, Carl Edwards from Columbia, Missouri, is #1 in the standings, Sprint Cup standings, and Clint Boyer from Emporia, Kansas, is number 8.
Billy Butler 1 for 2.
So Billy is still trying to hit the ball back to the middle of right field, and they hit that long drive to the right center field that was caught by Torrey Hunter, but he goes right back over there and finds him a base hit on the ground.
So 3 hits, all singles, and now Mike Aviles, who singled with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Strike 1 to number 13, Mike Aviles. That number became available when Alberto Callaspo was traded last year to the Angels, and then Aviles asked for the number during the offseason. That was the number he wore as a kid and all through the minor leagues. He has the number tattooed on his arm. And right on cue, he grounds to Callaspo, and the Angels turn a double play. So only 3 come to the plate in the 4th inning. ready for the 5th inning, making his first start for the Royals, his first start in 2 seasons. We know he has a good arm. Now we know he can pitch. He got out of a bases loaded, nobody out in the 3rd.
I think that's the thing that really gets guys who had trouble with their command going in the right direction when they can pitch out of a tough situation like that. So just bouncing back and seeing how he gets through this next inning is going to determine whether or not he can get Ned Yost the 5 innings he was looking for.
Only 3 hits, no walks, 63 pitches. And the Angels have the bottom 3rd of their order coming up. And a good hard slider to Hank Conger, who looked like he was sitting on a slider. With the bases loaded, nobody out in the 3rd. Paulino struck out Bobby Abreu and then got Torrey Hunter to ground into a double play. That slider is lined to right, and it bounces in front of Francoeur. Leadoff man on. It is a carsoup.com email the booth day, and let's go back to Joel.
All right, getting a lot of questions about the Royals minor leagues, as we often do. A lot of people wondering about Mike Moustakas or who the next guy will be up. Adam Suderman from Wichita wants to know if we'll see Moose before the All-Star break, and of course none of us know that answer, although I think we'll see him at some point this year, maybe before the All-Star break. He got guys is batting .281 with 12 doubles, 9 homers in the last 10 games, batting .341. So talking to some people yesterday, they said he's really starting to heat up, so that's certainly good news for the Royals. Wanted to also bring Monty in on one question that a lot of people have been asking lately. This from Sandy Stafford of Kansas City, Missouri. What will happen to Soria now? Will he continue to pitch in a different capacity as a starter? What's going on with that, Monty?
Well, I think they're going to continue to use him in the bullpen. It's just a matter of him getting things right, regaining his confidence.
And this is something that Jeff Montgomery went through as well, a chance to work on those pitches in an extended role.
Yeah, and it's depending on how deep the starter goes in the game, but you're going to be able to get him out and give him an opportunity to throw more than one inning, situations where he can use all of his pitches.
Ryan Frank, this is one I get a lot, and I think we have an answer up here, but we'll see if you guys know it as well. Caitlin Sill from Norburn, Missouri wants to know how many baseballs do they use during one game?
Oh boy.
It's a question for some of the
you know, I used to know how many they had ready and rubbed up every game, but I forget.
Like 6 to 8 dozen, maybe something like that.
We were thinking around 4 dozen, but maybe it could be more. It seems like they go through so many of them. We'll check. Maybe we'll run downstairs and check with the guys downstairs.
I think the weather might play a big part too, Joel.
Royals get 1 out, but they get the lead runner. Conger tagged out by Getz. Amarista reaches with 1 away.
Hey, watch this play right here. If Chris Getz can get this ball early enough and get the runner going back to first base, then he could throw to first, and then they can have the lead runner in a rundown and get the double play that way. But just didn't get him going back fast enough to be able to complete that play. So he was able to get the lead runner, which is always most important.
Inside, ball 1 on Peter Borges.
I had a math question for you guys if you want to tackle it.
Sure.
I have the answer, but again, we'll see. Daniel Croker from Inman, Kansas wants to know how Russell Brannion's on-base percentage could be lower than his batting average.
Off the side of the mound.
You're off the hook.
And the Royals turn another double play behind Paulino. The answer to that question is Felipe Paulino congratulated by Ned Yost, so that's probably the end of the game for him. 5 shutout innings, so we will call him our Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment.
Ryan, this is back in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded and nobody out, and he was able to get Bobby Abreu on a breaking ball to the outer half of the plate. And that was out number 1, and then he got Torrey Hunter on a 6-4-3 double play to get out of trouble.
And the Royals just turned another double play behind him in the 5th inning. 1-1 from Tyler Chatwood to Chris Getz. Lined out to center field in the 2nd inning. And now Paulino being congratulated by Bob McClure. So as a Royal, Paulino has 9 1/3 scoreless innings, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. Getz is 0 for 2, 1 down in the bottom of the 5th. The Royals are going to want to see a lot more of Felipe Paulino, but so far so good.
Well, the stuff is there, and I mean he's got the 2 types of curveballs. He's got the fastball, and I think that just a matter of just command and minimizing pitches and get deeper in games as he gets stronger and build up a little bit more. That could possibly happen.
Ball 1 outside to Matt Trainer. Grounded out. 3-4-1. Hard ground ball off of the first baseman Trumbo's glove, deflected to Amarista at second, who threw to Chatwood covering. 3-4-1 and 1 out, and it occurred at 3:41. Ooh. One ball, 2 strikes on Matt Trainer. In a moment, it's going to be 4:31. What if he grounds out 4-3-1? If that happens, I'm going home, man.
You almost had the other one.
Get in the basement, make sure we got a lot of water and canned foods down there and a flashlight. First strikeout for Chatwood, 2 down in the 5th inning. Chatwood does not have a 3-up, 3-down inning until now. Escobar hit it right on the nose and right to Ibar. No score at the end of 5. In the final and deciding game between the Royals and the Angels. This Sunday, the Royals play the Minnesota Twins at 1:10. It's a family fun day Sunday. And the first 8,000 kids aged 14 and under will receive a Slugger Kids pillowcase presented by Fox Sports Kansas City. So a lot coming up during that weekend series with Minnesota. Fireworks and Buck Night on Friday. Willie Wilson bobblehead on Saturday. And the Slugger Kids pillowcase on Sunday. Chevy call to the bullpen. And it's Greg Holland after 5 excellent innings from Felipe Paulino.
He's been looking good. I mean, he's looked like a different pitcher than last year. Good breaking, good hard breaking curveball, good fastball. He's pitching down in the zone. Just pitching much more aggressively than he did when he was up here last year.
We are celebrating birthdays today in the Royals family. That is David Boyce, formerly of the Kansas City Star, and Mike Swanson, Royals Vice President of Communications. Happy birthday to David, who is the official scorer today. And Swanee. One of them needs to wave. Go on. Come on. Ivar bunting for a double, didn't get it. Was that a bunt or a swing or what was that?
Well, what he'll do is he'll try to bunt that ball past the pitcher right at the shortstop. That's something he did in the minor leagues, and occasionally he'll try to do it at this level.
Singled with a stolen base in the first, and then a bunt single in the third. Bobby Abreu after him, and then Torrey Hunter. Big hard curveball, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Look out. Usually isn't good when the bat goes farther than the ball. Good start for Holland as he strikes out Ivar.
Well, that's his good hard breaking ball down there, Ryan. Just a good job of changing speeds right there. Everybody moves out of the way.
And now Bobby Abreu, happy that Felipe Paulino is out. Paulino struck him out twice. The bigger of the two was the third inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Paulino got him swinging, and then Torrey Hunter grounded into a double play. One ball, 1 strike. And now 1-2. So Holland with good command of his slider and his curveball in this inning.
Bobby Abreu is probably saying, is this the same guy? I'm seeing the same kind of pitches. 1 and 2, hard breaking balls down underneath my swing, and Holland can get the ball down there and really go for the strikeout here, because I know he swung at those pitches away, and that's where they went with the fastball rather than the breaking ball. But that could be simply just an eye level type change right there. Fastball on the outside corner, then back underneath with the hard breaking ball.
Holland pitched in 15 games with the Royals last year, but he did not face the Angels. So it's their first look, and it's not a very good look. Back-to-back strikeouts.
Well, you get the fastball away, and then he comes right back and strikes him out the same way again.
And now Torrey Hunter. As we look at today's AT&T trivia question, who are the 3 players to ever win more American League Gold Gloves than Torrey Hunter? I think I have 2. One of them's playing. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hunter grounded out to short in the first inning. That was good for 1 out. Then he grounded out to short in the third inning. That was good for 2 outs. Royals turning a double play with the bases loaded. The 15th time this year that Torrey Hunter has grounded into a double play. Hard slider down and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, this is last night in the 5th inning against Billy Butler. Going to the lines, stretched out, left his feet. Just great timing on that dive. You know, to make great plays like that, you have to take good routes to the ball to begin with, and he just got a good read on that one.
Greg Holland strikes out the side. Ibar, Abreu, and Hunter in the 6th.
Well, the Royals need to get on the board as there's no scores. We go to our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant is Vera Calloway from Kansas City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Vera will win $900. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Vera will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Top of the order, the Royals have not gotten the leadoff man on in any inning against Tyler Chatwood. 3 singles and a walk against Chatwood, and that's it. 1 base runner in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and then Chatwood got the side in order in the 5th. Alex grounded out in the first, walked, and stole a base in the third. That's across the knees. Chatwood going for his 4th win of the year. Good movement riding away from Alex. 1-2. A little high. Chatwood has been compared in size, determination, and stuff to Roy Oswalt. Chatwood is listed at 6 foot. That's right about the height of Oswalt. Good fastball, good curveball like Oswalt. Great competitor. He works very fast. Chatwood does. And he gets Alex on a ground ball to second base to begin the 6th inning. Torrey Hunter, the subject of our AT&T trivia question. 3 players to ever win more Gold Gloves in the American League than Torrey Hunter, and we got him. Ichiro Suzuki, Ken Griffey Jr., and Al Kaline.
All with 10.
Melke doing his Eric Ibar imitation.
My only question to that is why. You know, I'm all about why try something in a game you don't try in batting practice. You almost have to perfect it, and normally you try to play on a hit and run or something like that, or if the corners are charging in on a bunt play.
Now, what swing was better, his first one or his last one?
You know, that kind of falls under giving it a bat away. When you look at what happened in this at bat here.
Second strikeout for Chatwood, and now Eric Hosmer comes to the plate. You'll have a chance to meet Eric on Saturday. He'll be signing autographs here at Kauffman Stadium at the Majestic Team Store from noon until 1. So come out for that. Again, here at the ballpark, noon until 1 at the Majestic Team Store. And then that night, it's the Royals and the Twins at 6:10.
Yeah, that'll be a busy hour when he on Saturday. A lot of fans want to get a good close-up look at Eric Hosmer.
A single to left and a line out to right for Hosmer. Two and one. You know, talking about Torrey Hunter, chances are he won't get that 10th Gold Glove because he's playing in right field, which is a rule I've never really liked. You know, that every other position you have to vote for that position, but in the outfield it doesn't matter where the person plays. There's a Gold Glove play by a fan over on the third base side in the old club level. Look at that, moved into position, used both hands.
He actually put himself in harm's way and came out ahead. That was a great catch.
Most of the time, the 3 Gold Gloves, Ichiro Suzuki's an exception, mostly being a right fielder in the big leagues, but most Gold Glove winners are center fielders. Conger wants the pitch down. It is, and it's fouled away, and that got a big piece of Conger. They got him on the left side. Not a whole lot of padding there, if there is any at all.
Well, it didn't really stay square to the baseball. It kind of angled his body a little bit and exposed that left shoulder, and the ball looked like he might have got underneath that pad. Probably had some numbness in his arm, his fingers.
Mike Scioscia is generally concerned with Hank Conger. Don't get me wrong. However, I wonder when a catcher gets nicked like that and he's in pain and he turns around and his manager's there, and he was a big league catcher for 15 years and got hit everywhere, I'm sure. They probably realize they're not going to get a whole lot of sympathy. Second hit for Hosmer. Third hard hit ball. He's going to challenge Torrey Hunter, and he is out at second base. But an aggressive play, trying to get a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. The inning is over. We had our Chevy plays of the game in the 6th.
Well, back in the 6th, he came out and really dominated that inning with a strikeout of Ibar, a called third strike to Abreu, then a hard slider down away from Torrey Hunter.
He'll get Alberto Callaspo, Russell Branyan, Mark Trumbo in the 7th inning. Curveballs and sliders to get Ibar, Abreu, and Hunter. Callaspo is grounded out and struck out. Paulino and Holland together have struck out 7 Angels today. That in 6 innings. Paulino going 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks. One and one. Well, you got that hard slider, that curveball, and he's running 96 miles an hour up there.
Good arsenal.
Everything for strikes.
I mean, does he look a different pitcher this year than last year? I mean, last year he fought his curveball command, and fastball was high a lot when he came in the game, but he's really gotten that downhill angle to his fastball, and his breaking ball, he's tightened it up. It's curveball, and sometimes it looks like a curveball, sometimes it looks like a slider, and he's been able to change the speeds on it.
Tenth round pick of the Royals in 2007 out of Western Carolina University, where he was a walk-on. Not much of a recruit in high school because of his lack of size. From Marion, North Carolina, the population under 8,000. Did he go? No swing. Fielden Colbreth is the third base umpire. Greg Holland is listed at 5'10", but he is put together. He's just under 200 pounds. Still 2-2. That's the pitch. That's a pitch that froze Bobby Abreu in the 6th inning and got Torrey Hunter swinging the next batter after that.
Yeah, that's a backdoor breaking ball. They give up on it, think it's going to be outside, and it comes back and gets the outside corner. They just real tight slider grip. Just stays right on the outside corner.
So 4 up, 4 to the dugout, striking out. And now Russell Branyan, who might be the biggest strikeout candidate in the Angels lineup. He has struck out today, 0 for 2. 1 out of 8 in the series with 4 strikeouts.
A lot of right-handers will use that fastball. They throw inside to the left-hander to come back and catch the inside corner, and the left-handed hitters give up on it. That's the opposite on the backdoor breaking ball. You throw it outside, they think it's outside, it comes in and catches the outside corner.
He has tied his career high with 4 strikeouts in 1 outing. And now he's on the edge of another strikeout. He struck out 4 Tigers last August in Detroit. Two and two. Melky takes a few steps. That's it. Hit right to him. 2 down in the 7th. Pepsi Max is the official soft drink of the Royals in the Fox Sports Kansas City broadcast booth. You'll never sacrifice taste for 0 calories again with Pepsi Max. New look, same great taste and 0 calories. Pepsi Max. Maximum Pepsi taste. So 2 down, and now Mark Trumbo. Tough luck 0 for 2 today. Strike at the knees over the outside. Out on a fly ball to deep right. First time up. Grounded hard on one hop to Aviles. His second time up. Oh, and 2. Man, he is pitching with power and with great precision.
That's unbelievable. I mean, he just comes out and he just got that determined look in his face, and just the adjustments he's made since last year has been tremendous. Velocity's up. He just tightened his whole game up all the way around.
One and 2. On the ground, pass gets. So that's the way the game goes. Trumbo, first 2 times up, hits it hard. Third time up, just reaching out in a defensive swing, and he gets a 2-out single. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre, Frank White, Joe Goldberg, producer Kevin Schenk, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, and the producer of Royals Live is T.J. McGinnis. Hank Conger down, no balls, 1 strike. 1 out of 2 with a 5th inning single. Out of play. Another nice grab. Two good catches by Royals fans with bare hands the last 2 innings. That Justin Bieber thing is really catching on, isn't it?
That's a throwback hairdo, isn't it?
Not these days.
Got to go back to the bangs. The Beatles.
There you go. Good call. And if you're wondering why Aaron Crow is carrying that backpack, it is a tradition in baseball that a rookie carries all the snacks out to the bullpen. And if that's not enough, lately the teammates will get some sort of a backpack or a bag, a lunchbox that has all the snacks that the rookie has to carry. And it would be the last piece of baggage that that player would buy if it were up to him. That is a career high 5 strikeouts for Greg Holland in 2 scoreless innings. Coming up on Tuesday, June the 21st, it is a throwback to the 80s. And the Royals take on the Diamondbacks at 7:10. Retro Night features $7 Hy-Vee infield ticket prices and $2 hot dogs, peanuts, and small Pepsis. Also, the first 10,000 fans will receive a Retro Royals t-shirt presented by Pepsi. And we read that now because Frank was commenting on that retro style haircut, which I'm trying to tell him is back in style again.
Oh, it is. It is. I just, it's not just for everybody.
That's true. Left field, base hit for Jeff Francoeur, and the Royals have the leadoff man on for the first time today. Francoeur is 1 out of 3. It's only 5 hits against Tyler Chatwood.
A lot of times you get a breaking ball to Jeff Francoeur. Sometimes this swing is just long enough and right on time for a slow off-speed breaking ball, and he does a good job just getting through this pitch. And he has a good finish to his swing. He and Hosmer both.
Chatwood is just over 80 pitches. Misses badly to Butler. Couple of 17 pitch innings, and that's it. So in great shape as far as pitch count goes. Nobody warming up in the Angel bullpen. Chatwood trying to go 7 innings for the 3rd time this year. Francoeur runs. Billy grounds it right to the bag. And I don't know if Ibar could have fielded that ball without avoiding second base.
They always say when you want to hit and run going, you don't want to hit the ball up the middle because everyone's converging to the middle. And this is a perfect place for Billy to hit the ball. And Ibar got a perfect bounce. The ball comes right up, hits him right in a great spot right on top of the base.
And now a strike to Mike Aviles, who has a base hit, and he is grounded into a double play. One and one. And that's hit hard to center, but Borges with great speed just glides back to make the catch. 6 pitches to get Chatwood through 7. American League. Texas beats Tampa Bay. Colby Lewis wins his 5th. Texas in front of the Angels in the West. Chicago beating Boston. New York in front of Oakland. That game in Oakland. Nick Swisher, a former Oakland A's player, with a 3-run home run for the Yankees. Baltimore is in front of Seattle. Baltimore's lost 5 in a row. Minnesota at Detroit, Cleveland at Toronto later tonight. So at the moment, the Angels are a game and a half back in the West. They will be going home. They'll have the Yankees beginning tomorrow. On that same homestand, and it's a long one for the Angels. They will face the Royals June 10th, 11th, and 12th. The Royals have the Minnesota Twins here tomorrow to begin a 4-game series. Mike Scioscia's team on this current road trip is 3-2 after taking 2 out of 3 in Minnesota. Greg Holland has pitched 2 innings. He has struck out 5. That is a career high for him in a single appearance. Struck out the side in the 6th, and then 2 more strikeouts in the 7th. Alexi Amarista 1 out of 2. He has an infield single. Shallow left. Alex Gordon is there for the out. 1 away. Let's go to Joel.
All right, the math portion, Ryan, of Car Soup, and we've got a couple sets of numbers here. I went downstairs to check on how many balls were prepared and used in a game, and Tom Walsh was sitting there waiting for me. He is the guy that prepares all the baseballs for the umpires. He says that he preps 9 dozen baseballs for a game, sometimes more used based on weather, like you guys mentioned, extra innings, oftentimes less. Last night they used 84. He has extras available as well. So that gives you an idea of what happens with that. As far as how can Russell Brannion's on base percentage be below his batting average, if you think about an on-base percentage going up every time a guy gets a walk, and earlier in the year we saw Vlad Guerrero had the same batting average as on-base percentage. He hadn't drawn a walk until he faced the Royals, actually. Well, that on-base percentage is going to go down with a sac fly. So in the case of Russell Brannion, who came in today 2 for 17 since being traded or picked up in the American League, he also has a sac fly in there, no walks, no hit by pitch. So 2 divided by 17 is 118. 2 divided by 18 when you add in the sac fly is 111. Those numbers have changed, but the on-base percentage is still below the batting average today. Doesn't happen very often.
So one of them you factor in at bats, the other one you factor in plate appearances.
Correct. So no hit by pitch, no walks for him, but with those plate appearances comes the sac flies as well. So the sac fly actually hurts his on-base percentage, even though it helped the team.
All right.
Be a test later.
That's good. I had to think about that one for a while.
I think the umpire, almost getting back to the baseballs, they rub up a certain amount of those balls themselves, and I think Tommy rubs up a lot of the he gets a bulk of them.
You think the big league guys are still rubbing up baseballs?
I would think the umpires have to rub up a few dozen of them because they have to get the proper color and so forth and so on. And that's another good question for Tommy, because they used to rub up a certain at least a few dozen of them to get the game started, and the kids would go out and rub the rest of them.
Well, T-Man told me that he delivers some of them to the umpires and then the rest, over to the ball boys. So they may not be having to do that work that they used to do.
Oh, okay.
That's why they all love Tom Walsh.
Yeah, T-Man's been working for the Royals ever since Kansas City was a township.
Oh, a long time.
And every year I seem to cross paths with him, and he's got a little smirk on his face at the end of September, and he reveals that today was the last day he rubbed a baseball for the season. Just rubbed my last baseball for the season, Rhino. 6 strikeouts for Greg Holland, so he just keeps adding to his new career high. 2 down in the 8th inning.
And he's doing it with all of his pitches too, and the right-hander especially is throwing that slider on the outside corner.
The one hit was a 2-out single from Mark Trumbo, and that was reaching out over his front foot and got a ground ball through the right side. Off the knuckles, gets, leaps, and throws, but Ibar can fly, and he beats it out. Hosmer swiping at it, knocked it all the way to the mound, but Ibar had run through the bag. So he'll stay at first with 2 outs. MLB.com's At-Bat 11 app for Android, BlackBerry, and Samsung Galaxy Tab is live baseball. Follow the Royals wherever you are with game day pitch-by-pitch tracking, box scores, stats, breaking news, video highlights, and game day audio. 6 strikeouts for Greg Holland in 2 2/3 innings. It'll be Everett Teaford with a runner at first base and 2 outs, and the Chevy call to the bullpen. Reliever in 4 seasons. He does it in 2 2/3 innings.
He does it in fine fashion too, and they just use all of his pitches, hit both sides of the plate, and just attack the zone with everything that he had today, Ryan. Just very aggressively going about his work.
It is the most strikeouts for a Royals reliever since John Bale. Remember John Bale?
Yes, lefty, yeah.
3 2/3 innings. He struck out 7 back in 2007, and now Everett Teaford with Ibar at first and Bobby Abreu at the plate. Greg Holland was disappointed, and rightly so, when he didn't make the club out of spring training. 7 scoreless outings. So he went to AAA Omaha, and now back with the Royals. 6 scoreless outings. He hopes if Everett Teaford can strand Eric Ibar at first base. Bobby Abreu has struck out 3 times. Twice against Felipe Paulino and once against Holland.
Yeah, get a steady diet of breaking balls, especially from lefties. The slower the better.
Very light drizzle begins to fall at Kauffman Stadium. Ibar stole a base in the first, his 14th of the year. Not running, and Abreu lines it over first. So a race between Francoeur and Ibar. Francoeur gets to it quickly. As the throw comes in, Ibar has to hold. So it is second and third instead of the Angels getting a run. So race as Francoeur was trying to get to the ball. Ibar was trying to get to third and have third base coach Dino Ebel wave him home.
Well, he was hoping for that, and Tiefer left a curveball on the inner half, and Abreu was able to get it in the right field. So fortunately, he didn't get it close to the line or even down in that corner, because Ibar definitely would have scored. But he made a nice relay throw back into Hosmer, and then was able to hold Ibar at third base. So give the Royals a chance to get out of this inning.
And now right-hand hitting Torrey Hunter coming up, and in comes Lewis Coleman. Tiefer comes on to face Bobby Abreu. He doubled, and now second and third, and it's Lewis Coleman, and he'll get Torrey Hunter. This is only the second time all game that the Angels have had more than one base runner in an inning, and the inning that they're still kicking themselves over is the third, when they had the bases loaded with nobody out and didn't score. Way outside, and ball one on Torrey Hunter.
Well, it's a good idea by Lewis Coleman. Coming in and throwing fastballs, and they've been able to pick his fastball up of late. So come up with a breaking ball first pitch. You like to get more on the plate, but Trainer does a good job of keeping that ball from going to the backstop.
And with Ibar's speed at third, that is an automatic run. 1-1 on Hunter.
I think this is a perfect pitch for him right here, just right there. That's looks like Torrey's trying to, go left, center, and over. So you can just look at the location of this pitch, and I know that by Torrey's swing that was a good pitch.
This time Torrey lays off the pitch. Hunter trying to redeem himself. The Royals were able to get out of that mess in the third inning because he grounded into a double play. And now a chance to make up for that with runners at second and third and 2 outs.
He's pitching pretty careful. Got a base open at first base. He doesn't really have to give him anything to hit.
3-1. There is a chance if Hunter reaches, we could see 4 pitchers against 4 batters. Tim Collins warming up. He may come on to get Alberto Callaspo. Almost hit Hunter, and that's a walk. So what does Ned Yost want to do here? He's going to go get Tim Collins. So he would rather have Callaspo bat left-handed, or make that right-handed against Collins, than bat left-handed against Coleman. Another pitching change for the Royals. No score in the 8th. Ibar singled against Greg Holland. Bobby Abreu doubled against Everett Tiford. Torrey Hunter just walked against Lewis Coleman, and now he's out. And Tim Collins will face Alberto Callaspo. The bases loaded, 2 outs. This inning started with 2 outs and nobody on base. So the Royals would rather have Callaspo bat right-handed. As a left-hand hitter today, Callaspo is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Pretty balanced, both sides of the plate, a little bit better left-handed, and that's where all of his power has been, but he is a .290 hitter from the right side.
Well, he's a guy that doesn't strike out much either, and Tim Collins is going to have to make some good pitches to him right here, Ryan, and just want to be able to get that first pitch fastball in there for a strike, and he likes to come out lately with the first pitch breaking ball, so just make sure you don't spike it in the ground and make it a tough pitch for Matt Trainer to handle.
That would have surprised the Royals. Avila's very deep at third base. In fact, if he wanted to, he could have bunted that. And as you said, Frank, you're going to show bunt and just give away a strike like that. Why not just try and lay one down?
Yeah, you might as well try to do it. I mean, you're attempting that for a reason.
Grounded to Escobar. Long throw, a bounce. Scooped by Hosmer, and the Royals escape the 8th inning.
He did a great job. He gets to his feet quickly. He doesn't get a good grip on it, but the ball skips across, and Eric Hosmer makes a nice pick out of the dirt.
Scoreless at Kauffman Stadium as the Royals and Angels playing this rubber game here this afternoon. Immediately following the game at Rivals, Jeff Montgomery and I will have Boulevard Royals Live talking about the great first start of Felipe Paulino, the magnificent job of Greg Holland out of the bullpen. I have a feeling we'll be seeing that Alcides Escobar play again a couple of times. Highlights, reaction, and much more coming up after the game, guys.
All right, Joel. Ball 1 to Chris Getz. Tyler Chatwood beginning the 8th inning with only 87 pitches. 2 balls and no strikes against Chris Getz. He has now gone 7 innings 3 times this year. His season high and career high is 8 innings. Did that against the Cleveland Indians back on May 6th. And he took a no decision in that game. Gave up 1 run, 2 hits in 8 innings. Didn't get the win. 2-1. Gets his line to center, grounded out to first. Matt Trainer after him, and then Alcides Escobar, who just made a great play to save probably 2 runs. Everybody going on contact with 2 outs. The ball was well placed. Alberto Callaspo thought it was not hit hard. And chances are that Ibar and Abreu come around to score, but because of Escobar, tied in the bottom of the 8th. 3 balls and 1 strike on Getz. Make that 3-2.
He just got up off the ground so quickly on that play and got the throw over the first. Just got it on the way, and that's when you don't have time to just take the time to aim at the first baseman. You just let it go, and got a good skip on the grass, and Hosmer did a good pick to his right to save that play.
So leadoff walk, second walk given up by Chatwood, who has had problems with walks, but not today, just 2. And now we'll see if Getz takes off.
If I were to say that Ned Yost would probably go for the bunt right here. Try to make sure he gets down there and puts himself in position to score the winning run.
In our sprint you call it question, overwhelmingly Royals fans think that Chris Getz will lead the Royals in stolen bases. Right now he and Mike Aviles are tied with 8. Trainer wants it foul. One sacrifice bunt this year for Matt Trainer. He gets this one down, and Chatwood will run to the line and tag out Trainer. He gets the job done, and the go-ahead run is at second base with 1 out. So the Royals have 2 shots to get Chris Getz home. And wouldn't it be fitting if with the bat Escobar could put the Royals in front, because he saved the game last inning with his glove.
This is a curveball that he just went to his right and just picked this ball out of the dirt. I mean, what a nice play on both ends. The stop, he just didn't have time to aim that throw, but when you got a guy at first base like Eric Hosmer, you don't have to. You just got to get it in the vicinity, and he picks this ball out of the dirt. You always have to look at the feet. You know, once the play's made, how fast those feet move. And really, the only guy I'd see that may have quicker feet than Escobar is probably Freddie Patek. His little feet would really move.
Just showed you that he leads the American League in total chances. He has only made 3 errors this year. No swing. Lance Barksdale, the umpire at first base. 1 ball, 1 strike. A line out to short and a fly out to right for Escobar today. One and 2. Just stays alive. 97 miles an hour on that fastball. This is a situation that has come up on several occasions when, at least by the numbers, Ned Yost has a better hitter on the bench. But as the Royals develop, they hope that Alcides Escobar develops, and the only way he will develop is to bat in spots like this. He is hitting at .214 at the moment. Conger keeps it in front of him and keeps Chris Getz at third base. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's kind of puts you in the mode that you know, are you developing for the long haul, or you know, it's one of those situations where it's tempting to take the bat off the bench and let him pinch hit here.
To the right side, Amarista fumbles but recovers quickly and gets Escobar on the play. Getz Moves up to third base.
But the question is, the more you let him hit in this situation, and if he doesn't come through, what effect will that have on Escobar in the long run?
Lefty Scott Downs has been warming up behind Chatwood all inning, and he will come in to face Alex Gordon. And on a ground ball goes to third with no score in the bottom of the 8th inning. And Scott Downs will face Alex Gordon. 18 appearances for Downs, who has been on the disabled list twice this year. He broke his left big toe during spring training playing with his kids, and then had an intestinal virus on the DL in late April. Lost 10 pounds. And now facing Alex, 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base. The Angels during the offseason signed Scott Downs to a 3-year contract for situations like this. Left-hand batters late in the game. Last year, while pitching for the Blue Jays, Scott Downs held lefties to a 152 average. 2 balls, no strikes. Alex is 1 out of 3 against Scott Downs, and that one hit was a home run. Over the outside, 2 balls, 1 strike. Scott Downs playing in the United States for a big league team for the first time in a long while. He pitched with the Cubs in 2000, but since then he has pitched with the Expos and the Blue Jays. 2-2.
Well, Alex right now with 2 strikes just want to try to get something that he can put in play and make the defense make a play.
Three and 2. Melky Cabrera on deck.
This is Alex Gordon going all the way. This is that one that hit straightaway center field, way back up there.
10th inning home run to put the Royals in front last April in Toronto. And Alex walks to put runners at first and third. Nobody warming up behind Scott Downs. So he'll get Melky Cabrera, who can move over to the right side. 2 walks in the inning. Second walk of the game for Alex Gordon. Now another good matchup for the Royals. Melky Cabrera is 4 out of 8 against Scott Downs. 0 for 3 today. Takes a strike, 0-1.
Well, Alex could probably easily take second base right here. I don't think they would make an attempt to throw him out. All the infielders are back. They don't want to give up their defense in this situation. So if he wants to take second base, he can just walk down there.
Way inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Mentioned the broken left big toe that put Downs on the disabled list to begin the season. He was on the DL twice in 2009 because of his left big toe. Into right field, Torrey Hunter is there, and that's the inning. So we go to the 9th inning. Still a 0-0 tie. Produced 18 runs. The Angels won 10-8, and then in game 2 last night 10 runs. Royals won 7-3, and now a whole bunch of nothing today. Mycer Izturis will pinch hit for Russell Branyan. Branyan was 0 for 3 as the Angels DH today. Izturis, switch hitter, will be on the right side and take ball 1 from Collins, who came on with 2 outs and the bases loaded in the 8th. And got Alberto Callaspo on a ground ball to short, and a great diving play by Alcides Escobar. Alex Gordon at the last moment had to switch it into another gear and run down the line drive, 1 away.
That ball was hit well, and he went to his right and then adjusted backwards on this line drive and makes a nice play over his head. That's when you say
and now Collins gets Mark Trumbo. Curveball for strike 1. Trumbo singled in the 7th inning. He's 1 out of 3. Back to Collins. Has plenty of time and throws a little while, but Hosmer's able to save it. 2 down.
Yeah, 2 good curveballs by Tim Collins right there, and got Trumbo way out front on that second one, and just hit a little dribbler back to the mound. So he's getting a little bit better touch with that off-speed curveball, and and they didn't have to throw that hard one all the time.
A strike to Hank Conger. He is 1 out of 3. He singled in the 5th inning, batting right-handed for the first time today. A little bit outside, 1-1. Conger is a .236 hitter overall, but .250 from this side of the plate, so a little better as a right-hand hitter. And now down 1-2. 5 innings from Felipe Paulino. And then Greg Holland, Everett Tiefert, Lewis Coleman, and Tim Collins in relief have not allowed a run. On the ground, deep short. Again, Escobar, strong throw, and he throws a strike. To the bottom of the 9th with no score. Well, Alcides Escobar certainly does have the hot hands. Ned Yost acknowledging that. He's made 2 very good plays for the final out in the 8th inning and in the 9th inning. He had a chance to put the Royals in front, and he came to bat in the bottom of the 8th. With a runner at second base and 1 out, he grounded out after a second walk in that inning. Melky Cabrera flied out against Scott Downs. Angels scoreless in the 9th, and now in the bottom half, Eric Hosmer, Jeff Francoeur, Billy Butler. Scott Downs stays in there for the Angels. Pulled foul past first base coach Doug Sisson. 2 more hits for Hosmer, and the only out he's made today was a line out to right field. 6 out of 12 in the series with 6 RBIs.
So Ryan, this game looks like a game where it's just going to come down to one swing and a bat.
Backhanded by Trumbo. Downs to the bag, 1 away. Final game of this series, and then tomorrow Minnesota's in for 4. Sean O'Sullivan against Anthony Swarzak, who took a no-hitter into the 8th inning in his last start. That was against these Angels. 7:10 first pitch. Hy-Vee Royals live with Joel and Monty at 6:30. Up the middle, into center field. Jeff Francoeur is the potential winning run at first base. That's his second hit.
This pitch is out over the plate, and he rolled over the top of it, but kept it in the center of the field. And Ibar's planning him slight pull and wasn't able to catch this ball before winning the center field for a base hit for Jeff Francoeur.
Billy Butler with a runner at first and one out. He is 1 for 3. A little bit outside, ball 1.
Yeah, Billy could use one of those gappers in the right center field now, and Francoeur definitely will score on that, but they're going to try to stay away from him. They don't want to throw anything to his power. So Billy, I think, can look away.
Keeping an eye on Francoeur, 6 stolen bases. He is 6 out of 6. Has not been thrown out yet this year. The Royals have 1 stolen base. Alex Gordon in the 3rd inning. And throwing over there again. Billy Butler has not faced Scott Downs. Billy has hit in 6 straight. Batting average at .293. Two and 0. Tyler Chatwood, 7 2/3 innings, 5 hits, no runs. Came out with a runner at third base, 2 outs in the 8th. Scott Downs walked Alex Gordon, but got Melky Cabrera on a fly out to right.
Scott Downs trying to keep the ball away from Butler, trying to keep it down and hoping he could roll over and get him a ground ball.
2-1.
Billy needs that same swing he had last at bat where he hit the base hit between first and second. Just stay in that area right there. Big hole open over there. That's 2 at bats ago.
Three and 1. Mike Aviles is next. Drilled to left field. Back goes Abreu at the wall. Off the very top of the wall. It stays in. And Francoeur gets to third. Billy with a double. It hit the padding on top of the wall. And maybe the Royals thought it was gone. Colbreth is the third base umpire, and apparently it was his call. Now Colbreth is going to come in and talk to the other umpires, and they will most likely review it.
Well, it has to go over that rail, I believe, right? It'll be a home run.
Well, it looked like from there that did it get behind that screen?
It's kind of hard to tell.
Good. Just with the frames that we have there, I never saw the ball right in front of that upper padding above the railing. But then again, it would have had to have traveled much farther for a bounce like it did. I mean, it immediately bounces when it gets to that second level of padding, which would suggest that it stayed on this side of the wall. But then again, all those frames we looked at, I never saw the ball right in front of the top railing, the padding on the top railing. Let's see if we can get another look here. It's almost like the ball, see, the ball almost looks like it disappears.
Yeah, you're right.
But then see where it bounces, there's nothing there behind that railing to hit. So I think we're just caught in between frames, but you never see the ball in front of the padding. So we'll see what kind of look the umpires get. So right now, and they're going to call it a home run. So a delayed celebration, it ends up being a walk-off. It took Billy Butler a long time to get around the bases, but it's a 2-run home run. The Royals win the game, and they win the series. No, Frank. Maybe the umpires got an angle that we didn't see.
Well, you're right. It's hard to tell from what we saw. But
what does it hit? I just don't know what that hits. But it does look like the ball went behind the padding.
Behind the green padding, and the blue fence back there might have hit the blue fence behind.
Well, the hero is down on the field with Joe Goldberg.
All right, Ryan, thank you very much. And somewhere in the middle of all that celebration, all the way back there, this helmet came bouncing all the way to me. So, Billy, here's the helmet, first of all. And congratulations on the delayed walk-off. Now we're getting a water shower from Jeff Francoeur, both of us. Congratulations. Tell me about the emotions of waiting for that.
You know, it's a great feeling. Great team win, and you know, I'm just happy we got a win, and you know, we pitched great today.
All right, just come over here. You guys won't mess with you a little bit. What about that though? Having to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. That's Gatorade, by the way. That is not water. Sorry about that, buddy. All right, tell us about the at-bat. Tell us about the emotions, the waiting for the umpires to go in there.
You know, I just was trying to put the barrel on it, and I couldn't really control what I did, but I was just trying to put a good at-bat together.
Oh, boy. All right, let's get him a towel. I don't think there's anything left. Your old manager, Frank White's laughing up in the booth. Get that coffee out of here, Crow. All right. It all works out. Yeah, he says a rookie better not get him. It all works out when you're winning, but how about the excitement of being able to come back in such a tight game, 0-0, with so much on the line?
Well, no, it's good. It's a good series win. You know, we played good today. It was tough, both sides to score, and just glad we could get the win and, you know, another series win.
How about the job of Felipe Paulino in his first start as a Royal, and then for Greg Holland and the bullpen to come in and do what they did?
You know, yeah, Paulino did great. Greg came in and was dominant, and our bullpen did a great job coming in, and, you know, it was just all-around good team win.
Hear those guys chuckling up there in the booth, because if you could see yourself right now, you're absolutely covered in shaving cream. It's coming out of your your nose. But you know what? It's all worthwhile with the victory. Congratulations. Great job with the walk-off home run.
Thanks, guys. The fans are great.
All right, there is Billy Butler, absolutely getting abused with the Gatorade and the shaving cream after the walk-off win. Guys, let's go back upstairs to you.
All right, Joel. Well, we're getting another look here, and this will answer our question. We never saw the ball in front of the padding, and apparently it went over that padding, and it hit the blue railing behind the blue padded railing. So the question I had, Frank, was if it went over the green, then what did it hit behind? Because it didn't go very far for a bounce. It certainly didn't go to the ground and bounce off the concrete, but it hit, apparently it hit the blue, the area between the green padded railing and the blue steel railing right behind it.
Well, I agree with that. You can see the ball definitely doesn't come in front of the green railing. So it goes over, hits the blue rail, then it comes back up. So the umpires got it right.
So once again, that's the challenge we had trying to do our own little amateur review up here is that we never saw the ball in front of the green padding.
Right.
So that's where it disappears. But the question was, what did it hit after that? Because it bounced up right away. And it didn't take them very long. Gary Cedarstrom, the home plate umpire and crew chief, a 2-minute and 38-second home run trot for Billy Butler. It's a 2-run home run. The Royals win it 2-0. We'll be right back.